Hey, I'm Kelsey from poofycheeks.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make an epoxy wood grain tumbler. So first, let's start by gathering some supplies. Most importantly are our safety supplies. I use a mask and I use gloves when using epoxy. You're also going to need white spray paint, a clear coat spray, epoxy, some cups, and popsicle sticks. And I will go over the other supplies you need as the tutorial goes along. So to start out, you're going to take your blank tumbler and you're just going to give it an all-around good sand and tape off the top of the cup. This is so that the epoxy and the paint don't seep down into the cup while you're working on it. To get good coverage on the cup, you may have to go back and add a second coat of the white spray paint. Then you're going to let it completely dry. Cover your workspace with some sort of paper or something to protect it from the alcohol inks, because as we do this process, they are going to kind of splatter off of the cup. I'm using two different alcohol inks. Both of them are brown. They're different brands. I will link to everything I'm using down below in the descriptions. But you'll see there's very slight differences in these two colors. And then I'm going to use a cheap hard bristled paintbrush to apply the alcohol ink. So let's get all of our stuff ready. I think I picked up a handful of these paintbrushes for 25 cents a piece at Michael's. So what you're going to do is you're going to start by making a straight line of alcohol ink down your cup. You're going to brush from top to bottom, and then you can kind of go back and forth a little to make sure it all blends in. You're just going to keep continuing this process all the way around the cup. If you have any spots that don't get filled in, you're just going to go back, fill it in a little bit, brush it out. The alcohol inks dry super fast, so you have a very limited time to work with them. Basically, once I brush them out, they're dry already. I'm going to speed this process up to show you how we go along the entire cup. If you put your alcohol ink on and it decides to drip down the cup, you're just going to quickly wipe it and then pretend it never happened. I got a little paintbrush hair in it there, but you're going to pretend it never happened. And you're going to continue making the lines. Once you finish, you won't even notice that that bit of alcohol ink slid down the other direction. Once you've finished covering the entire cup, don't forget to do the bottom. So I just kind of brush down and brush along the bottom, and then I will put different dots of paint onto the top and kind of take them in different directions so it looks like it blends in. Once you get a little bit more familiar with this process, you can even start adding knots into the wood grain by just putting a drop of ink and then using your paintbrush to kind of spread that out in a circle direction. To finish the look, I put one more drop of ink in the middle and I just kind of let it dry there. Just slightly use your brush and kind of go out from the middle, and then it looks like a knot. This is the cup after I've covered the entire thing in the alcohol inks and I've added a couple knots to it. So it is perfect, but it's not ready for epoxy yet. The next step is that we have to apply a clear enamel coating to it. I use the Rust-Oleum Crystal Clear Enamel, and I just lightly put a coat of that on it and let it dry completely. Now, don't be scared, because sometimes when you apply the enamel, it does leave like a little bit of spotting on the cup. That is normal, and it really doesn't take away from the look. Once you apply the epoxy, you really don't notice that. After the clear coat has dried, now it is the most exciting part, and that is to add the epoxy. I use the amazing clear cast epoxy. I mix equal parts of A and B, and for this you're probably going to want to do about 10 milliliters of A and 10 milliliters of B. I mix both of them in separate cups with popsicle sticks. Then I pour part B into part A. Part A is the thicker one. Part B is the thinner one. And I get a new popsicle stick and I stir again. I get the cup situated on my tumbler. I purchased this tumbler on Amazon. It will be in the description below. Look how pretty it is, and look at those knots. Again, I put protective paper or a sheet of parchment paper underneath to catch any dripping epoxy. I don't want my workspace to be any dirtier than it has to be. With my gloved hands, I pour a thin strip down the cup and I work my finger from the top or from the bottom to the top of the cup, and then going in every direction just to make sure the cup is fully covered with a good coat of epoxy. Again, don't forget the bottom of the cup. You want to make sure it also has a good coat of epoxy as well. Once I'm finished applying the epoxy, I'm going to let this tumbler go for about 8 to 10 hours. I like to do it overnight, so that way when I get up in the morning, the cup is all finished and dried. If you want to apply a decal to your cup, this is the time. You can either use water slide paper or vinyl. I usually try to use vinyl. I think it shows up better, and I like the look of black on these wood tumblers. So with this one, it was a gift. I put the gentleman's name on it along with a bass fish underneath. Then I went back and applied another coat of epoxy to seal the vinyl in. After it dried, it was finished and ready to give to my customer. So these wood grain tumblers are a little bit harder, I think, than just the normal spray paint tumblers, but you're definitely going to be working your way up to the harder glitter tumblers by making one of these. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe below. And one final time, just a reminder, all the supplies that we use